All right, let's talk about one of the trickiest behaviors you'll face in your apprenticeship, B3, being commercially astute. It sounds complicated, right? So what is it? How do you actually develop this skill? And maybe most importantly, how do you prove you've got it? Let's break it all down.
To figure this out, let's follow the story of Jody. She's a level 6 project controls apprentice, working at a company called Ibis Stores. Now, Jody is brilliant with data. She's super sharp on her forecasts, but she's just hit a wall, a really big one in her development.
And that wall has a name, B3, commercially astute. It sounds so corporate, maybe a little intimidating. Jody's just staring at her development plan thinking, okay, but what does that actually mean I'm supposed to do every day? And you know what? That's a super common question.
So her first mission, and our first mission, is to just decode the jargon. We've got to figure out what B3 is really. I mean, you can't start developing a skill until you actually understand what it is you're aiming for.
So Jody cracks open her official apprenticeship guide, and this is what she finds. Applying commercial awareness and judgment to maximize value within the boundaries of contractual agreements. Okay, it's accurate for sure, but it doesn't exactly make you want to jump out of your seat and get started, does it? It still feels a bit, well, abstract. Luckily, her mentor, Adam, steps in to translate this into plain English. He tells her, Jody, forget the jargon. Just think of it like this. First, you got to understand how your project's contracts actually make money and where the costs come from. Second, you learn to spot the commercial levers, those little clauses in the contract that you can pull. Third, and this is key, you act at the right time to protect or even boost the profit. And finally, you do all of this while being ethical and playing by the rules. Simple as that. Then, her line manager, Riddle, comes in and just lands the most crucial point of all. She says, Jody, all your amazing forecasts and analysis, it's just data until you use it to make a commercial difference. 3D is all about converting your great work into actual, real-world financial value for the company. And boom! A light bulb totally goes on for Jody. She finally gets the what and the why. So now she needs the how. She sits down with her apprentice coach Olivia to build a proper, practical action plan.
So, together with Olivia, Jody maps out this super clear 4-step training plan. Step 1, she's going to deep dive into the company's contracts to really get the commercial framework. Step 2, she's going to actively connect the dots between her day-to-day project control work and the company's bottom line. Step 3, this one's a big one. She's going to work on developing her judgment, learning when a piece of information becomes commercially critical. And step 4, she'll make it a habit to reflect on how her actions actually impacted the finances.
And look, this isn't about reading textbooks. The plan is to get her in the room where it all happens, joining commercial and contract reviews. It means grabbing coffee with folks from the finance team to get their insights. And most importantly, it's about making that reflection a regular, consistent practice. Okay, so Jody starts putting her plan into action, and you know what? Her confidence is growing. But pretty soon, she hits the next level of her quest. How does she actually capture all this new learning and prove she's competent for her portfolio on Aptem? And this is the million-dollar question for every single apprentice out there, right? It's not enough to just feel more commercially astute. You have to provide real, tangible evidence that an assessor can look at and say, yep, she gets it. So what does good evidence even look like? Her coach Olivia shows her this comparison, and honestly, this is gold. It shows the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got the weak stuff, the theory, like writing a summary of contract types. That doesn't prove you can use them. But on the right, that's where the magic is. That's impact-based evidence. Instead of an essay on profitability, show the forecast you built that helped protect the project's margin. It is all about showing what you did, not just telling them what you know.
So now, when Jody sits down to write her reflective statement for APTM, she uses this 4-part structure every time. First, she sets the scene with the commercial context. Then she details her specific actions, and this is so important, why the timing mattered. Third, she quantifies the impact. How did it actually affect revenue or cost? And finally, she reflects on how her own behavior grew. This is basically the perfect recipe for top-quality evidence.
So, with a portfolio that's now jam-packed with strong, impact-focused evidence, Jody is finally ready. She's ready for the final stage of her quest, conquering the endpoint assessment, the big professional discussion.
So imagine you're in the hot seat. The assessor might ask you something just like this. It's a direct invitation to tell one of those powerful stories from your portfolio, a real-world example where you put B3 into action.
Or they might throw you a bit of a curveball to test your judgment with a question like this. Because look, it's not just about making money, it's about making money the right way. This tests that professional integrity that's so essential at level 6.
And now, because of all her hard work, Jody has the language and the real experience to give a distinction-level answer. Her response is full of these key phrases. She's talking about spotting risks early, providing information in time, and always acting within ethical boundaries. She's not just repeating a definition, she's showing a deep, nuanced understanding of the whole behavior.
And with an answer like that, her professional discussion is a huge success. Her quest to understand and master B3 is finally complete. The transformation is absolutely clear.
Jody is no longer that apprentice who is confused and intimidated by jargon. She is now a confident professional who really understands how her job directly contributes to the success of IBA stores. She doesn't just control projects anymore, she actively enhances their value.
So let's just quickly recap what we learned from Jody's journey. First, B3 isn't passive. It's about taking timely, well-judged action. Second, your evidence has to show real-world impact, period. Third, the absolute heart of this skill is linking what you do in controls to the company's profit. And finally, success is all about protecting and enhancing value for your organization.
So Jody finished her quest. She went from confusion to real confidence. And now it's your turn. Your quest begins right now. So my question for you is this. What's the very first commercial lever, that payment term, that change notice, that incentive clause that you are going to investigate in your own projects?